As Americans, the Second Amendment gives us the right to bear arms. But as Christians, should we own guns? We're about to talk about it now. Let's do it. Pew pew. Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Not Safe for Sunday podcast. I am Josh, and here we are, dude. Knocking on the door of Thanksgiving.
That's it.
What's up, Ken?
Not much, man. How about you?
Just thankful.
Yeah.
You know what? It's thankful season.
Thankful season for
Happy
sure.
to be here with you guys again.
Absolutely grateful to be able to sit with these men.
That's right. That's right. Daniel, what's up, buddy? Welcome back from the booth.
Thank you, man. I had a great time in there, I gotta say.
I bet you did.
Those boys don't get enough credit. It's comfy, it's fun.
Yeah.
Right,
No,
Spence?
it's not comfy.
Oh.
Spence will correct you.
I had a great time.
It's nice at first, but you didn't have the old chair experience. You got the new chairs in here now.
All right. I got it in my ears, all the creaking of the old plastic chairs.
Oh yeah.
Creak.
Did you feel like a little more, a little less under the spotlight in there?
Oh, dude,
so you feel
I
it
felt like
flow a little more?
Oh my God, I was like ready to kick up my feet, crack open a cold one, and just like I felt like I was on vacation in there. It was nice. It was like no pressure. I don't mean that offensively either. Like I just felt like I can just sit back.
You were free, dude. You felt listening back to the episode, dude. I was like, that's a free man.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just felt like there was no pressure. I could just like whatever.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Crack
with it.
open a Bud Light, throw on the Clay Aikens.
Screaming Jelly Roll lyrics into the mic.
That hard for hallelujah. It goes hard. I also got to point out that my peace and love sign is fully lit, while Ken's love and peace sign is finally dead with no sabotage.
Wait a minute.
I think the good Lord in heaven is showing who is finally correct.
All right, ready? Here comes some editing magic. Ready? Go.
No, I'm gonna have to explain why, because who's missing from the booth is our lighting and camera specialist.
That's right.
Could not be here tonight, and so he always makes sure that everything is well lit and
That's
the sign
true.
is on. So I'm just gonna do that now.
That's true.
It's the Freddie Benson of our show.
Freddie Benson, who's that?
From Mike Harley.
Yeah, that went way over my head. That's after my time. That's after my
you missed
time.
out, man. It was a good show.
Spencer,
It
how
was a good show.
How are you?
I'm good, man. Back in the booth, in the mix, like
Yeah.
gin and tonic once again.
Are you happy to be back in the? I know you're not happy to be back in the booth.
Nah, that's good. It's
Yeah.
just back to my roots. You know?
We almost made a pre-episode swap.
Yeah, then you reneged.
I did renege.
Yeah.
I did renege.
I
I
immediately reneged. It was crazy.
yeah. I'm comfortable out here. I'm comfortable.
Is it renege or renege? I thought it was renege.
That's a good question.
I thought it was renege.
I'm not sure.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't
Can we
know
get
Commenter in the
Because
comments.
you guys are saying it, I'm like, I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
I think it's renege.
Yeah.
You knew what I meant. It's all good.
Johnny, you didn't have to hide behind the wall because Jake's not here. But
That's all right. I'm okay.
I know you're comfortable in your seat. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Dude, I just realized your sweatshirt says Fairhaven, but it looks like Patagonia.
I love that
Yeah.
sweatshirt, dude.
Wow, look at that, huh? Where'd you get it?
My cousin gave it to me.
Oh, we love cousins.
Yep. No more free plugs for anybody. I've learned my lesson.
Well,
You
after
gotta earn that plug.
quick fact check, put the angle back on me, and my sign is on, as you can see. It is spelled RENEGE,
Oh, reneged.
and but
Here we go.
Oh,
Phonics lesson.
call on the plate.
well, when they put out the phonetic spelling, they give two, RI-NEG, comma -NIG. So perhaps it is pronounced both ways.
Interesting.
It's like a color.
Tomato,
thing.
tomato. Potato, potato, boys.
Yeah. So anyway,
I learned something new actually the other day that the reason we spell color without a U is because the newspapers used to charge by the letter. So we as Americans dropped the U to make it cheaper.
There's a lot of words like
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah.
the Brits will add a little extra letter in there.
That was Josh's history minute.
we hate the Brits.
I don't like that they spelled Jeff with a G.
Joffrey.
Joff.
Not
Joffrey.
a fan of that. But
Yeah.
respect to the G-offs out there.
Jeffrey Rush is the one that comes to mind. I think he was in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Great movies.
Yeah, good movie. Good Disney movie. Now that we're in Thanksgiving season, you guys have anything that you're thankful for?
I mean, I just like this season more than all the other seasons. You know, I think it's the least commercialized, the least, adulterated, perverted type of holiday season,
Yeah.
They never really figured out how to do that to Thanksgiving. They tried with the whole Black Friday thing, but even that's kind of pulled back a little bit.
Yeah.
So I just like the fact that, this was always like when I was a school teacher, it was like my favorite week of the year. You had that like Wednesday half day, and I used to have a lot of former students like kind of come back and hang out and just like reminisce, and then you got those 2.5 days off and family, good times, memories. So
Yeah.
definitely my favorite holiday.
That's awesome,
of
man.
all time for sure.
That's awesome. Dana, do you like Thanksgiving? You a big Thanksgiving guy?
I do. It
Yeah.
is. It's nice. It's a nice holiday. It's pretty chill, just food and family, and I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with that.
What's your favorite dish on Thanksgiving?
Well, first of all, dark meat is better than light meat.
I'm with you, brother.
We got to get that out of the way.
High five, bro.
It's all about that juicy, scrumptious, succulent dark meat.
Yep.
Okay.
And then
How do you feel about the food, though?
pew pew pew.
Shots fired.
Wow. Oh my
You
God.
got caught up in the
Well.
crossfire.
Well, I know what our first clip's going to be in the next episode.
Oh man. Otherwise, I like I like stuffing, and that is also the food kind. Just to clarify, I didn't know I needed to clarify.
Follow up food.
All right, we've lost it. We're done. We're gone. Tears are
Canceled.
flowing.
5 minutes
Canceled.
in, derailed.
Canceled. End the show. Ken, do you have a favorite?
I don't even want to say it. I'm afraid where it could go. It's not my favorite. Okay. And I am speaking of food right now. But I really do look forward to the little baby creamed onions. Only because
I remember
it's
you bringing that up
Yeah,
last year's episode. We
it's
were all
the only
perplexed.
Mm-hmm.
time I have them, and they really are. I mean, it's all homemade stuff when I go,
Yeah.
so they're all good cooks, and
Yep.
people, bring stuff and contribute, potluck style, and whoever makes those creamed onion, man, it's so good, and it's like the only time out of the year that I eat them, so I really look forward to those, and just how it complements the rest of the plate with the white or dark meat, the stuffing, the peas, the gravy, the mashed potatoes, the whole nine.
But you
So
don't make it, so you got to hope that the person that makes it comes to Thanksgiving.
They always do.
Okay.
It's the same people for over 50 years in my family,
Wow.
yeah. So
Phenomenal.
and then the pies, it's all homemade pies, and my cousin who
Homemade
makes the
pies.
pies is just she's ridiculous. She's just cherry rhubarb and apple and all varieties. So
I've never
all
had a
from
rhubarb.
scratch.
I've never had a rhubarb. I don't even know what it tastes like.
I mean, it's cherry rhubarb, so it's good. I mean, I taste the cherry. I don't know about the rhubarb. I don't even know what rhubarb tastes like, but it's a
what I'm
darn
saying.
good.
It's
It's
a
a darn good pie.
It's a
So
root
obscure.
fruit. It's a root vegetable.
It is.
It's a darn good pie. That's all I know. I'm still wiping tears though from the from the last few minutes. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm back.
Spencer, do you have a favorite Thanksgiving dish?
I like a nice canned cranberry sauce.
Yeah, that's the only way to. You can only have the canned.
Yeah, that makes sense. Nice and cold. Throw it
Yeah.
on the plate.
Easy to cut.
No, yeah, exactly. I like everything. I think turkey is kind of overrated. Honestly, I don't really look forward to the turkey per se, but it's cool. As long as there's mac and cheese, I'm happy.
Ah, yeah.
Need mac and cheese on that plate.
My mother-in-law makes the best mac and cheese.
Yeah.
I can
And I can
attest to
hands
that.
down say that. And
It's really
anybody
good.
who's had it agrees.
It's really
Her
good.
mac and cheese is unbeatable.
I'd love to try some sometime.
We're gonna have to get you some. We're gonna have to get you some.
Johnny, what do you got? What's your favorite
I'm
Thanksgiving
a mashed
dish?
potato, green bean gravy kind of guy.
Attaboy.
Trying to say all the obscure things I can't believe.
Trying to say keep it safe.
Like,
Yeah, he's
what can I
keep
say
it
that can't be
safe.
twisted?
Yeah, I think if it's made right, a good green bean casserole, dude, can really make the plate whole.
I have come to really appreciate the versatility of the sweet potato.
The sweet potato, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because you can just do it mashed, or sometimes it can be like kind of a casserole type
Yeah.
thing,
Those
and
marshmallows on top.
throw some marshmallows in there,
Just a
maybe some
couple
brown sugar,
pecans.
pecans.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very versatile. Sweet potato pie, one of the most underrated pies that there is around. So.
Sweet potato pie is good. Yeah. You cook the turkey? Do you cook the turkey at your house?
I don't, like I said, we go to my cousin's house. This is a tradition that, I mean, legit goes over 50
Wow.
years. It's crazy. So it's the Walsh and Warren family, which, same
Buffett?
family. And so the host typically cooks the bigger things, and then everybody else brings sides and desserts. So the host will cook the turkey and, some of the other major staples,
Yeah.
and then we fill in the blanks.
That's right.
It's not Warren Buffett. It's Warren Buffet.
Warren Buffet.
Buffet.
Yes, Warren Walsh.
Thank you.
Walsh Warren.
I
so.
came back. I had to go for it
Silent
again, John.
Yeah, I didn't even hear what you said the first time, to be honest with you.
John and I locked eyes and we're like,
I apologize.
Right.
I didn't even catch what you said.
Silent T.
dude, in the office, I gotta say, an office story. This is the second time it's happened in a week. I'll like tell Ken something, and then I sit and I wait and I count the minutes of how long it takes for him to hear. I'm still waiting on a response for 2 of my conversations. It's 2 weeks later.
When I get locked in, I'm locked in.
Locked in.
2 weeks
But
later.
I did the same thing to you today. I was like legit like smacking the table, like just to get him to look up, and he wouldn't. And then I actually like moved the table with my knee, and he kind of like, like one of those, and like I'm like, dude.
Some of us are doers. Ken.
He's like, I'm locked in. I'm locked in.
Was, dude.
He's plugged in. You gotta let him be.
He's locked
Gotta let
in,
him
dude.
be.
Yeah, I think it's like a kind of a passive intentional ignoring that I do that I do to you.
Wow,
That's what
thank
it
you.
is.
Thank you. Really building my character.
For the listeners, go on and let us know what your favorite Thanksgiving staple is. And when you do that, make sure you go on there, you like, you review, you subscribe. All right? Put your name in the comments. Let us know who you are, Finding Peace Muse, whatever. I think once again, I'm convinced that it's Jake, but
Dude, they're going to be really sad that Jake's not here today.
they are going to be
Yeah.
really sad.
Like finding peace. I don't even know what the comment's
Yeah.
going to be. Will they find a second love?
Let us know who you are. Name yourself.
Reveal yourself.
Reveal who you are to us. But if you do, we will shout you out on a future episode. I think, Ken, we have a couple comments that we haven't caught up on the last few episodes.
Yeah,
so.
no, we definitely do. And so some clarification from the last episode is we could not think of who Vulcarin is, but I don't know if he wants us to reveal him. I'm kind of thinking he doesn't. So we know who you are.
Yeah, we know.
We know who you are, Vulcarin. But yeah, we had let's see, we had from the last episode, we had Vulcarin checking in. We had Colton Simmons checking in. Putting Josh to the wall. Serena is just always Serena from Maine. She's always a steady commenter, top commenter. We had Rad Mad 7 check in for the first time, I think, on
First
the
time
YouTube,
on the video, yeah.
on the video, and that's
and she's been brought up a lot on this podcast.
She has.
So for her to
Yes.
just comment now, I mean, that's some self-control and restraint.
Rad Mad 7. Bruce LaRue 1000 checking in. I think we talked about him last time. And let's see, Erica Coelho checking in, regular listener and commenter. We love her. So yeah, it was just it was a great episode. We had lots of comments, and we say keep them coming, keep that engagement coming.
I will
We
say that
love it.
I've heard a lot of feedback of people who have listened to the podcast, and then people who go to the YouTube and watch it, and anybody who started off listening and then finally made the switch to watching said you just can't turn back when you watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's like unbeatable.
100%.
Just the facial expressions, the interactions, the cuts, like they said, it's just like it just makes all the difference in the world.
The
It's
fact
so
that we're not
funny.
wearing any pants usually is
that
shocking.
also will
Really,
that will help. When it cuts to Ken's angle, it hurts us, but then we gain views, Josh.
Oh no!
We passively ignore you again. Ignore that you said that.
Oh my goodness, dude! Oh my goodness. Well, anyways, for tonight's episode, this is a topic that we is been very prevalent in our modern day society. It's been in the culture for a while, and that's guns. Every year I think we hear the debate on whether or not guns should be legal in the United States. There's been mass shootings. Obviously, there's been the recent shooting of Charlie Kirk, and just kind of off the back of that, Spencer had brought up a great topic for discussion, and this was something that I think you wanted to discuss back when we were having your marriage questions before you had gotten married, Spencer. And that question is whether or not Christians should own guns. And I think it's a great question. So I before we kind of dive too far into this, I just wanted to ask you why during that episode, or why during those marriage questions, was this a topic that you wanted to discuss?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you for the compliment on the topic. I thought that back then I was thinking about what it meant, to be a husband and the head of a household and a protector and a provider and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I should get a gun, keep the house safe. Somebody comes, in the middle of the night or something, God forbid. But then I kind of thought, like, man, should Christians really do that? What happens if you're a Christian and you shoot somebody? Like, what does that kind of mean for you? How do you kind of explain that to God? Is God cool with that? Is he not? Are we supposed to be pacifists as Christians? Are we not? Some level, of like mixed messaging on that in the Bible, I think, in terms of like, if you look at the Old Testament, very violent, the New Testament, less so. So I wasn't really sure what the answer was.
It's a great question. And I guess before we get too far into it, I guess I kind of want to point out or ask, we are not talking gun for sport, right? We're talking purely just owning gun for any other reason besides owning it for hunting or sport. Is that?
I can confirm I'm not a hunter.
You sure?
Yeah. Conspiracy theory debunked.
So this topic that we're discussing, this is strictly
Personal defense.
defense. Yeah, that's a really good point. So, where do we stand on this topic? How should Christians navigate this topic? So, let's get into it. Ken, you don't hunt?
I do not hunt.
You do not hunt.
Yeah. I'm not. It's never appealed to me. I know this is not exactly the topic, but since you asked me, it's never really appealed to me. Yeah. This might somewhat contradict some of the rest of this conversation, but I wouldn't want to shoot an animal. You know what I mean? And
but they're human, dude. Bang bang.
I think it'll make more sense as we go along. I understand the whole thing of where the food on my plate comes from. Yeah. I know somebody kills it, and I get that. And I've eaten like venison, that was killed by a hunter and all that. I would have a hard time bringing myself to do that. That being said, I do believe in our Second Amendment rights to own a gun, and I'm sure that we'll get into that more. But
do we want to do we want to share whether or not you own guns or anything like that? Is that you guys comfortable with that? Okay.
Yeah, I think we did when we had talked the marriage episode with Spence, which was before we even were recording video at that point.
Yeah,
I think we kind of shared. I personally own guns, and Ken, you had also shared that.
Yeah,
that you did.
Although I am not a hunter. Sorry,
I'm a bleeding liberal.
He's more
so
of a
I don't own any guns. I'm gonna lean into it.
Lean in.
No, I do not own any guns. This is definitely. Stop laughing, Johnny.
We need to do a gasp track to that one. What? You don't own guns?
No, but it is definitely something that I've thought about, and I'm kind of still on the fence about it. I really don't know how I feel. So you guys are gonna have to convince me this evening. So Spencer, since now that you are married, where are you at?
Yeah, I got a little something.
Got a little something. Got a little something. Okay, Johnny, you are in the process. What's going on with you?
Of getting married?
Yeah. Well, I'm in the
Yes.
process of getting a gun.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know.
I gotta like drop off all my papers at the police department and then go from there. So I already took the class and everything. I got that under control. I've shot a gun before, so I'm just waiting to get my own license now.
Nice. Yeah, I've shot a gun a few times. Probably even as young as like 14. Shotgun. So
At the range?
Nah, he grew up in New Bedford, man.
you know.
I teed that up. You knocked it. It's so good.
Attaboy.
Dude, we're not Far River. Don't get it.
No, they just go around stabbing people. So as far as this topic goes, should Christians own guns?
Okay. Well, I think it's a broad topic, so I think we need to kind of like we'll pocket this a little bit differently.
Then let's start it like this, because the big debate always when it comes to gun control in this country is who should be allowed to own guns, right? And I think that all kind of boils down to what responsible gun ownership looks like, right? So if you are a Christian and you do want to own a gun, let's start with that. What does responsible gun ownership look like?
Well, I think, responsible gun ownership begins with, caring, for how you handle a firearm in a responsible way, because, that kind of power needs to be, and when I say power, I just mean like the mere firepower of it and the damage it can do needs to be respected, and, there's a lot of gun accidents every year, of course. And you don't want to own a gun, to defend your home and then end up accidentally shooting or killing somebody, like a loved one or a random person, just because you're not responsible with it. So it's something that should definitely be respected. You shouldn't get your idea of how to handle a gun from any movie that you've seen, because that's, it's not at all realistic whatsoever. And it's also, how people accidentally get killed. And so you should definitely take a course, which is required, I would say, at least in the two states that we as a group represent. You need to take a course and you need to learn how to, carefully handle that. And where you store your gun and under lock and key, especially if you have young children. And so just being responsible, just as a responsible human being with something that is a great responsibility because of the, it's like driving a car. It's like you don't let anybody drive a car. There's driver's ed, and then there's a licensure process and this whole thing. And there's fines when you don't do it correctly. And so just as a car can cause a lot of damage, when it's not driven and handled properly, same thing with a gun.
Right.
I think guns get stigmatized a lot more. There's a lot more people that die from reckless drivers than reckless gun owners all day, every day. But at the same time, the argument is similar in the fact that responsibility and a level of seriousness and sober-mindedness is really important if you're going to own a gun.
Do you have anything on that topic, Daniel?
Yeah, no, I'd just echo what Ken said.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to responsibility. And I mean, battling the mental health crisis we have in this country, I think that's also something to consider. I mean, we do see a major rise in just unstable individuals. And so I think you throw that into the mix to figure out exactly why, state of Massachusetts where we are, and Spence, you can speak on the state of Rhode Island, but you do have to go through some sort of interview with the police department and go through a background check and stuff. I think that's a reasonable enough, kind of precaution, and I think it is a right. So you kind of have to tread lightly because, when one right starts to become too overlawed, or there's a lot of laws and legalism behind it, it opens the door for there to be more laws about some of the other rights that we have, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, all of these things. So I think that's why sometimes the right to bear arms is even more so a larger issue, because it's like, okay, if you start to really crack down on this one, it's opening the door for you to crack down on the other ones. And so it's like an inch and a mile sort of thing. You give an inch, they take a mile. So I think the gun debate gets even more fueled by sort of that aspect of it as well.
Yeah, and I think you're bringing up the different laws and how we're over-governed a lot, and the whole concept of the Second Amendment and why it's second after the first being free speech, freedom of religion, the second being the right to bear arms. Because if you don't like somebody's
speech, dude, you just pop.
That could be one angle, but it's really the Second Amendment.
I don't actually believe that.
The Second Amendment.
I think everybody knows that.
I don't know. I've seen some of the comments. I don't know.
The Second Amendment preserves the first.
Yeah.
Because the Constitution, we're talking about freedom of speech. We're talking about that the government cannot infringe upon it.
Right.
The freedom to bear arms is that the government cannot infringe upon it. And the reason that we have the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, is to protect the first. Initially, from who? Is a tyrannical government. That's why the Second Amendment is in the place that it's in, and that's why it was created. And so, you'll hear people that are on the other side of the gun debate, those who really believe that there's no place for guns in society and really believe in gun control, and they say, oh, well, that's just so antiquated. That was like during the revolution, and that was America gaining its freedom from this tyrannical
the type of firepower that we have,
government, right? But nothing's really changed when it comes to people.
Right.
Governments at any time, and you see it happen all over the world, can become tyrannical.
See it happening right now.
And so, so. Well,
I don't actually believe that.
It's going to be amendments. Talk about amendments all over the place.
I don't actually believe it.
So,
We're just going to put a big asterisk on that side of Josh anytime he speaks.
You told me to lean into it.
I love it.
So, a society, a society that is not permitted to defend itself is a pretty scary society because you don't have to go too far back into distant history, and you can even look at some places in the world today where citizens are not allowed to bear arms and defend themselves against what would be a very intrusive government that can then do anything they want to their citizenry.
Absolutely.
So we live obviously in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, and
some could consider that a tyrannical government.
Well,
Massachusetts and Rhode Island.
Some could. But because from what I understand, this is probably two of the harder states to get gun ownership. I don't know if that's true or not because I haven't continued to pursue that process, but is that true? Is it?
I don't know that it may be a little harder to obtain a gun license and to own a firearm, but I think it's more the stringent laws that kind of govern when you actually do have things like that. So there's way more stringent laws and requirements that govern the way that you are able to as compared to other states. But I didn't find it was terribly difficult to get a license and own a gun.
So when you talk about that Second Amendment right, and we talk about gun control and things like that, do you think it's too much, the restraints on these states? Do you think it should be more available for people to be able to?
Well, I think the whole debate is kind of a fallacy in a lot of ways because most of the people that own guns, that have guns, I should say, in this country are responsible gun owners. There's millions and millions of gun owners in the United States of America. If the kind of the extreme side of the gun control argument, that says like, we need to get all the guns out of people's hands, so that we won't have shootings. If that were true, to the extreme that people paint that picture, it would just be like the Wild West out here, and every single person that owned a gun would just be out
pew, pew.
blazing, pew, pew, pew. So the problem is that so much of the gun violence that happens in our country is illegal guns that are not, owned lawfully, and so I think that's something that almost never gets mentioned in the whole gun control debate,
which is strange to me because I would imagine that a majority, and I don't know the stats. I don't know if we don't have JK. I don't know if Daniel wants to or has pulled
trying
up
to
the
trying to
stats.
pull up some stuff
But
here.
I would imagine that a majority of the gun deaths that happen are not by registered gun owners, like, and with their firearm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. I would say most gun owners, most lawful gun owners in the United States of America, by a long shot, never have to actually discharge that gun in a conflict situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're only going to the range and practicing and doing it for sport or whatever.
Right.
But it's just a fraction actually have to use it for defense, whereas most of the gun deaths are produced by illegal gun owners.
Yeah. So growing up in the 90s, there was, I think, a big push for just, I think, a lot of different things. Obviously, like there was like the DARE program, like making sure kids aren't doing drugs and whatever. They thought we were running around wild. But I remember vividly, like seeing multiple like after school specials, I think we called them, and stuff like that, where it's two kids that are, hey, one kid goes to the other kid and they say, hey, you want to go see my dad's gun? And then next thing you know, it's like we're at the kid's funeral because it accidentally went off and the kid shot himself or accidentally got shot. And, you know, I think that makes a lasting impression, especially now, me being a father of two young children. I think there's a legitimate concern. I don't know how legitimate it is, but I think for me, there's a concern that is something that could occur, being a gun owner, having a gun in my home, that no matter how safe I keep it, there's always a potential that an accident can happen.
100%.
And one of my children could die.
100%. And that's probably what kept me. I'm a more recent gun owner, really in the last 5 years, and that is what would have probably kept me from ever owning a gun when my kids were little. Just that fear. So for me, and I can just say personally, you know, I never had a desire to own a gun. I was never into guns, and I was really raised, you know, by a pacifist, you know, mother who, you know, really just was totally anti-gun and just felt like, you know, it was the worst thing that could ever happen to society.
Yeah.
So I grew up really like kind of fearing guns, you know, being afraid of them, and you know, I shared this before, but I was like blown away when I actually found out that like regular citizens would own guns, and it wasn't just police officers that carried them, because I was kind of led to believe that my entire life. So for me, it changed when like the defund the police movement like was really like almost like a nationwide cry.
Right.
That's when I was like, you know what? I may want to reconsider this position on gun ownership, because if this becomes something where, you know, police departments are being decimated,
right?
You know, I mean, it's just kind of common sense. Well, who do we call when there's crime, or who do we call when there's somebody being assaulted or victimized? And so I better take the responsibility for my family to protect them, as Spence said, you know, as, you know, man of the house, and, you know, you're really called to be that protector. I better take it upon myself to ensure that, God forbid, anything like that happened, that we would be protected. And so that's what really led me to change my tune on gun ownership. But previous to like 2021, it was never really on my radar.
Now, how about like the idea, so home protection, you have that idea of, if I'm protecting my home with a gun, there's a potential that you could take somebody's life. Is that something that you consider? And as a Christian, what do you think we should consider when thinking about gun ownership in that way?
1,000%. That's something that I've thought about, because that's basically like when you take the class, or the class that I took anyway, that they tell you that if you don't think you could ever pull this trigger when necessary, then you don't own a gun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's totally pointless. Not to say that, you know, he wasn't like lobbying for, you know, you to want to kill somebody, but it's that serious that if you're going to have a gun for home protection and somebody does break in and want to assault or rob or kill, God forbid, you or your family, you better be ready to use it. because if you're not ready to use it, you're probably going to, shoot a hole in your foot or the wall or kill an innocent bystander. So I definitely know that, is one of the possibilities with gun ownership. But I'll be honest with you, that fear or that concern is not regarding myself. It's regarding my family. You know what I mean? Because I would rather go one-on-one in talking to somebody that was like, trying to come against me. I would rather not shoot them if it was just me that was in peril.
Right.
But if it comes to my wife and my children, you better believe somebody will die.
Yeah.
Because that is what I'm called to do. I'm called to protect them. And, I will not let anybody do that. But when it comes to me, I don't know that I would just right off the bat, just be ready to kill somebody, because I would want to try to reach them, because I know it's just my life at stake. I value my family's life way more than I value my own when it comes to that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no. It's hard to navigate how you can balance self-defense and the act of taking a life, you know what I mean? And you're the way that you're perceiving it, it's not even really self-defense, it's more a blanket of protection over the entirety of your family in that instance. But with life being precious, it's a hard thing. I don't know if I could do it. And I think that's part of the reason why I've continued to kind of drag my feet and go back and forth on it, is because I don't know if I can.
Sure.
If I don't know
no,
if I can
that's
pull
real.
that trigger and take somebody's life. I don't know if that's even my decision to make. You know what I mean? Whether this person is worthy of living or dying. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I didn't really grow up in a home with guns or a desire for it at all. But I like Spence. I think there's just there's a crossroad that you come to when you're about to get married, or maybe you've been married for a little bit, where you definitely get to that point of contemplation whether or not you should or should not have a gun in the house for home defense. In my case, especially because I think there was a lot of men around me who had a lot of experience with guns and had legally owned guns and got their firearms, and they had their LTCs, and they would go to the range and they would fire their firearm. And I was around a lot of responsible gun owners as friends, as a kind of more of a young adult. So I would get some experience going to the range with them. Again, I think guns can be stigmatized, and I think like my first time at the range, I was like, oh my God, like that's a gun, like holy crap, and then you start to fire them, you gain a respect for it, but you also gain sort of a level of comfort where some of the anxiety is taken out of it, where you're like, okay, so this is actually just a tool. It's not, it's not going to do anything unless I really do something with it or somebody else does something with it. And so I think learning more about it made me open to the idea of like, okay, I think that I could responsibly own this, and if needed, I feel like I would use it. And to echo some of what Ken was saying, I agree wholeheartedly. For myself, I mean, I couldn't care less. I mean, put me down. It is what it is. But I think when I start going through my mind and visualizing, someone going after my wife, or now having a child. If it wasn't for my wife, I would have gotten one for my child. But that's just me. Again, I'm not knocking you for not having it, because I think it's all personal.
How could you?
I think it's all personal. Well, you're a liberal. It's
leaning in.
But I think it's I think it's all based on your comfort level and what you feel.
Right.
And for me, I felt like I feel like I can, and I feel like I can, and I feel like I want to have a gun where I can use in case of a need for defense. And you're right, the whole struggle and debate about whether or not, as a Christian, you're kind of in a predicament, right? Because you're like, I'm almost playing God in choosing who gets to live here, my wife or this person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a real struggle, and you kind of have to come to a place of personal conviction. Of course, we don't condone just going out and murdering somebody in cold blood, just because they disagree with you. We don't, condone just, killing somebody because of no reason at all.
That wouldn't be responsible gun
That wouldn't be
ownership.
responsible gun ownership. And then, of course, from a biblical standpoint, we don't justify murder. And I think when you start to pose the ethical dilemma of putting your hand on the lever of which train is going to kill which person, that whole moral debate, I think things can get hairy, and you have to start to cross the road of your own personal convictions on the matter and figuring out where you stand on it. Of course, you aren't going to go out of your way to kill, but if somebody's going to kill my wife,
yeah,
I don't know.
I think that's where when it gets to the whole should Christians own guns, and I think there's a terrible, poor interpretation of the scripture as to why people would criticize Christian gun owners, because where the Bible says vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, gun ownership is not about vengeance, because we're not talking about going out and avenging something that happened to you. You're talking about literal prevention of life being taken. You're preventing an assault or a victimization. So those are two totally different arguments. Self-defense is not the same as a vengeance killing.
So while we're on that topic, what would you say to somebody that poses to you that basically reliance on guns is reflecting fear and it's not reflecting faith?
I mean, I don't think that's a completely invalid argument, because when I kind of crossed over that line and decided to pursue gun ownership, those were real thoughts that I had in my mind. Am I being faithless that God cannot protect me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like I said, personally speaking, I don't fear for my life. I don't fear anyone ever taking my life, and I've never felt like I need a gun to protect myself. A common friend of me and my wife's, when he found out that we were both going for our LTC and being gun owners, he was like, oh, I'm shocked. And I said, why? He said, well, because if somebody broke into the house, he goes, I cannot see you ever shooting anybody. You would get the coffee pot out and you'd be like, come on, let's sit and let's talk about this. Let me pray for you. He's like, your wife, on the other hand, oh yeah, they'd be dead. No doubt about it. But you'd sit down, you'd want to pray for them. And so when it comes to myself, I don't carry a gun out of fear whatsoever, but I'm glad that I have one in the house, again, on behalf of my family, because they, would be the, more than likely the victims, here. And I, as a father and a husband, I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I had the opportunity, if I had the resource to stop somebody from harming or killing them, and I didn't do it. So it's really more out of a sense of protection and duty as a husband and father than it is out of fear. But that's a legit feeling, though, and I kind of had to work through those feelings of, do I not have enough faith? Do I not think God will protect us?
Yes, I'd like to hear from Spence. Spence, having kind of, I know when you brought up the question, you were kind of battling within yourself, should we, shouldn't we, should we? You just said that now you decided, you did decide to have something, as you said. So, can you talk me?
He said a little something.
A little something. Could you talk me through kind of what your thought process was, or how you came to the decision that you came to?
Yeah, definitely. And I think my process or my story with it is actually pretty similar to you. Where I finally kind of got around people who were Christians, men of God, who had guns, and I was like, oh, this isn't like what I thought it was. Because I think I was more in a place like you, Josh, where I was like, oh, guns are bad. Like, the people say on the news say guns are bad, so I'm just going to steer clear. But then when I got to really know what they were like and go to the range and kind of learn about this kind of gun culture and stuff like that, I was like, okay, this isn't so bad, and guns really aren't scary. And like you said, they're tools. Like, that's like kind of the first thing they say. And it's all just about, safe gun handling. Like they say, even if it's unloaded, don't point a gun at anything you're not willing to destroy. Right. So if you, getting around responsible people who I respected and admired is kind of what swayed me. And then, just kind of hearing some YouTubers and stuff, again, Christian YouTubers, I was like, Okay, I think I could get into this. This sounds interesting. So here I am.
Right.
So I've heard both. Now you got both of you guys say that a gun is a tool, but what is it a tool for? Because is it a tool for killing? Because if that's the case, then as Christians, how should we feel about that? About the killing aspect of it? Like, is you shoot somebody, you kill them, thou shalt not kill. Are we then going against the word of God?
Yeah, I think, I mean, a tool, not necessarily in the way that, a screwdriver is a tool to be used regularly, but it's there if you need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's an item. It's just, left untouched. If I left a gun on this couch and all of civilization was wiped out, this gun would just be on this couch forever. It's a lifeless item, and it won't do anything without an exterior influence,
right.
Using it. So, I wouldn't say that a gun's only purpose is to kill. I go to the range and I have a blast, just firing at the metals, dude. You hear that clink and you're like, oh man, it's like so satisfying. I went to the range with John Dennis, and
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod, John Dennis never commented on any of our YouTube videos, though. So,
friend of the pod, John, and he
take back the shout out.
He took me to the range, and they had those clays that
Dude,
get fired out of all sorts of
Ski
different places.
Shooting? Yeah.
Oh my god!
So
but it was so cool because you get the shotgun, and then you trace it and you track it, and when you hit one, oh man, the feeling. So I wouldn't say that a gun's only purpose is to kill. I mean, there's sport, there's all sorts. I think, of course, it mostly gets it's.
Well, I just want to point something out too, though. So in the 10 Commandments, the commandment is "Thou shalt not murder." Murder is the unlawful taking of a life. It's not "Thou shalt not kill." So I'm not necessarily excusing, if a life is taken, but the command is with the intent of an unlawful taking of a life. But I think that's where a lot of the argument with Christians are a lot of like the little subtleties where some of the scripture gets taken out of context or is just again said improperly, because most people when they say that command will say "thou shalt not kill."
Right.
It's not, it's murder, right? And so if you go back into like the entirety of the law, right, of Moses, there's a lot that has to do with like self-defense and like lawful killing versus unlawful killing and what the penalties are for each, and where, in the defense of life or your property, that's lawful. But unlawfully is again, that's that murder. And then I think another one is a big one is like turn the other cheek, as if like we should just be slaughtered.
Take anything.
Okay, whatever, like people are coming just to bulldoze you and your family that you just, I'm a Christian, so I just got to turn the other cheek. That's not the intent of those words of Jesus either.
Right.
That's really more talking about, how we respond as believers when somebody offends us or, in that extreme, they slap our face, you know what I mean, is to turn the other cheek. Why? Because vengeance is God's. But it's not, I don't think it speaks of defending like a literal threat to the sanctity of life, especially when it comes to those who are the defenseless, like, your wives and your children, things like that.
Now, what about when he tells Peter to put the sword away?
That's another good one. I think that's pretty contextual to, what was happening to Jesus, where it was, basically foretold, and that was right. the plan for him to be arrested, beaten, tried, and crucified. But he does also speak truth, though. Jesus says to Peter, put away your sword. Those who live by the sword will die by the sword. And so, I think gun ownership can also bring with it that warning or that context of like, I mean, you don't want to get into a shootout in the OK Corral, you know what I mean? Own that gun responsibly. Peter takes it out, right away. Jesus' life is not in peril at that moment. They're just coming to arrest him.
Good point.
And so he's not being attacked.
So
or anything.
Peter is perhaps misusing his weapon in that moment where he's ready to like start slashing people's ears off, and at that point Jesus is not even, his life's not in peril. He's being arrested. Can
I throw another verse your way, Pastor Ken?
No. Yes.
No.
So this is also from the New Testament. This is Luke 22 verse 36. So this is Jesus talking, and it says, oh, and this is also the CSB version, if anyone's wondering.
Okay.
It's too smart for me.
So it says, then he said to them, but now whoever has a money bag should take it, and also a traveling bag, and whoever doesn't have a sword should sell his robe and buy one.
Okay.
What verse was that again?
Luke 22.
Luke 22.
What does it say after that?
36.
What does it say after that, Spencer?
For I tell you, what is written must be fulfilled in me, and he was counted among the lawless. Yet, yes, what is written about me is coming to its fulfillment. Because I hear a lot of pro-gun people will say that as well in defense of buying a gun.
Okay.
I.e. a sword in that context.
Yeah, the way that I because I read that prior to this too, and the way that I took it is exactly that. That kind of what we've been talking about is understanding the persecution that's probably going to be heading their way,
and the disciples.
You're right,
yeah.
And then that being a mode of protection for them. That's the way that I had interpreted that verse.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you kind of stumped me, to be honest with you, Spence, because I haven't heard that as a pro-gun argument.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, no, I really haven't. So I'm going to have to like brush up on that chapter a little bit and then kind of rethink it. So on the spot, I don't have like a real strong opinion on it just because I haven't heard that as a pro-gun argument. So
you can elaborate in the comment section.
yes, we definitely can.
Commentary.
But, I mean, one of my favorite liberal movies is
We're gonna do a liberal ding
Lean
counter.
into it,
A
lean
liberal
into it.
counter.
Hacksaw Ridge. You guys ever see
Great
Hacksaw Ridge?
movie.
Oh,
Fantastic movie.
Wait, can I just say, when I first went to my Air Force recruiter and talked to him, one of the first things he asked me was, "You're not a conscientious objector, are you?"
Right.
And I was like, "I don't think so." He was like, "Have you seen Hacksaw Ridge?" And I was
Is
like,
it
"Oh,
is it because he knew you were a Christian?
No, he
Oh, okay.
didn't know anything about me at that
okay.
point. But yeah, that they don't want a repeat of that story ever again.
I would imagine, but it's what a great story. What a great movie. First of all, Andrew Garfield is fantastic in that movie.
He did
But
play it well.
if that, because honestly, when as it goes to Christianity and gun ownership, that's probably one of the only movies that my only like exposure to something like that in that wide of a mainstream type scenario, and I would never do that. First of all, I don't think I could go if you're going into war. I don't think I could ever do that. But what was he, Catholic? He might have been Catholic.
I believe.
I didn't
He might have
actually
been
see
like
the
LDS.
movie.
You never saw Hacksaw Ridge? Oh, you need to brush up on that.
All
one
right,
tonight.
I'll definitely brush
But
up.
so
Google it.
Andrew Garfield plays. It's based on a true story, and he is a soldier. Where are they at? Is it World War II?
Yeah, Japan.
World War II in Japan. He is a conscientious objector, and he is a medic.
Seventh-day
Adventist.
There you go. And so he is a medic, and basically chooses not to even touch a gun at all, and goes through a lot of struggles. Everybody's trying to get him to quit, doesn't quit, but eventually, you know how those stories go. He saves a bunch of lives, and then he's everybody's hero at the end.
Gets the Purple Heart.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Right, the Purple Heart.
Yeah.
Saved 75 men in the Battle of Okinawa. So when you see something like that, and I know it's obviously Hollywooded up in that movie, but I mean it's based on a true story. I mean there's potential there. There's potential, I think, to say, hey, you know what? Maybe I don't need to own a gun and be able to be useful or be able to be helpful, be able to protect people. You know what I mean? I mean those people still were shot and hurt and injured.
Yeah, and I honestly, like, I don't think, like, if I never went and got a gun license and purchased a gun, I don't think that my life would be
Any different?
really any different,
Yeah.
to be honest. Now, of course, if then, God forbid, if there was some incident or whatever, you know, yeah, maybe then I could say, uh-oh. But, you know, I think it's one of those things where, you know, ultimately, you know, God, we're in the hands of God.
Right.
You know what I mean? Ultimately, our days are numbered by Him. The hairs on our head are numbered by Him. And ultimately, if it's your time, gun or not, guess what? You're going.
Yeah.
And then also too, if you didn't have a gun and somebody's coming at you and ready to take your life, it's not your time. Guess what? You're not going to die.
Mm-hmm.
Because God is the decider of all these things.
Sovereign.
He's sovereign. That's right. And so, I think these things, I don't think, for me personally, I don't think it's like a hill I need to die on necessarily.
Right.
I choose to,
right.
Being that it's our Second Amendment right to do so. So I have a right to do it in this country. That being said, it needs to be done responsibly. But I don't, ultimately, it's God, who decides these things. And I know that a piece of metal and plastic and some gunpowder is not ultimately what protects me, nor what could end up taking me out at the end of the day. So I think that's an important distinction to make, that if we truly trust in God, it doesn't have to necessarily preclude me from owning it, but I also should not put my trust in it any more than I would any other tool.
Yeah.
Just to go back to that.
I want to kick it to Johnny, because I know, Johnny, you had most recently gone through the gun safety training course.
Yeah.
I mean, did you have any takeaways from that? And did you look at it anyway as you were going through it as a Christian man? Did you look at it in a specific way or mindset when you went into it?
Mindset wise, I think I pretty much had the same view as before. Like before I took the class, was that need be, if I needed to kill someone in like not like a survival situation, but like if someone was breaking into
like
a
a
home,
defense.
yeah, like in a home defense type of way, I think I definitely would be able to, or be willing to. But what I took away from taking the classes was how many like laws and regulations that are in place once you have a gun. And like one of the things that I really took away was, in like Massachusetts is like it's not a stand your ground state, which means like you can't investigate if someone was breaking in, but like before they enter your house. So like if you hear somebody trying to like knock the door down or break the door down or climb through a window, you can't investigate once they're in your house. Because if you were to kill them before they entered your house and like prevent a robbery, it's like you were like the agitator in the situation technically, because you investigated, you went over to see what was going on. So I thought that was kind of crazy. And then secondly, like once you're in the house, if you're like 10 feet away from them or like on the other side of the house, you can't kill them unless they're like within a very close range. I was looking it up, I couldn't find the exact feet, but like when I took the class, I remember him saying like it's got to be like within 8 feet or something like crazy like that.
That's pretty close.
Yeah,
that's pretty close.
Like if they're running at you, like how are you gonna gauge? Oh, he's 8 feet away. Now let me kill him. Especially like with all that adrenaline, it could be dark. Like obviously you don't want to keep the lights on because you know the layout of your house more than the other guy. So I feel like it makes it almost impossible to want to own a gun.
Did you leave that class with a different mindset?
I still have the same view as like I'm willing to defend the house, defend my family, whatever it takes.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely was like, it made me a little bit more nervous to own it, just because of not like accidentally killing somebody or myself or whatever, just more like the legal troubles of owning it. Like the guy was telling stories about people just like getting into like a lot of legal trouble for like stupid reasons.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it, and I'm sure. And I mean, I think that's what makes it hard too, right? There's so many different laws in so many different states where like
50.
Yeah. Well, some states have the similar laws.
Same thing, only different.
There's 50. Is there 50?
Liberal propaganda.
Jay, can we fact check that?
But like, yeah, in a state like Florida where you have the stand your ground law and yeah, when somebody steps on your property, you unload,
blast them,
unload, buckshot, birdshot, buckshot.
Pepper them up real nice.
Pepper them up real nice. But yeah, I mean, I think that's where it gets hard to navigate too, is that because we live in a country with these type of freedoms and each state is able to govern themselves when it comes to this. That's probably part of the reason why we do see some mass shootings in some areas, because of maybe it is a little more lax. But is that once again, is irresponsible gun ownership. And I think the key takeaway that I've taken away from this is if you can do it and own a gun responsibly, like that's the key to this. There are going to be people that get guns illegally. There are going to be people that aren't responsible gun owners, but it's your responsibility as a gun owner to be responsible with that tool that you guys have been talking about. So
it's kind of a cliche, but like I've heard this more or less. I might butcher it a little bit, but like the person that you want in a in a kind of one of those pandemonium situations, like a potential mass shooting situation, is a good guy with a gun.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because that one person, has the potential to really save countless lives.
And we've seen
in
it.
a situation. Right, yeah. and you have seen it. Doesn't make the news as much as the actual mass shootings do. It's not as sensationalized, but there are stories that you can find in local news where a good guy with a gun potentially saved a mass casualty situation. And so when it comes to like carrying, because there's a difference between home defense and carrying, those who carry a gun, I would hope that would be their aim and their thought process, is that they carry this thing not to think that they're Clint Eastwood, or
not if you get road rage.
Not for road rage, but legitimately, in a 1 out of a million situation where you have a potential to stop somebody who is, a madman with a gun and looking to inflict mass casualty damage, that you could be that stopgap. So, I think with that attitude, I think would come a little bit more of a sober-mindedness and a responsibility, and certainly not, flashing it just because somebody cut you off in traffic or something ridiculous like that.
Have you ever had a gun pointed at you?
I have not.
Yeah. No.
No.
I have. No. I don't even think I realized it, dude, until I'm like, oh, this guy's been pointing this gun at me.
Wait, you're being serious?
Oh yeah, dude. When I was living in Florida. Yeah, it was.
Dang.
Yeah, not great.
Horrifying feeling.
Was it
off the hook?
Yeah, I was gonna.
What is
New
it?
Bedford's New Bedford's off the hook for that.
Yeah,
story.
New Bedford is off the hook for that story.
Was it like a mistaken identity situation, a stand your ground situation, or a robbery situation?
It wasn't. It really wasn't any of those situations. It was. I had put myself in a bad situation that I didn't realize I was really in, and it wasn't because I don't even think I realized it, and then I'm like, hey, stop pointing that gun at me, you know what I mean? But I didn't know the intentions of these people, and it probably could have gotten bad. But thank God that he pulled me out of that situation.
Wow.
That's maybe a story for another day. But do you have a KTT, or does anybody else have any last thoughts on this?
Oh, I have a stat that I'd love to share, and
See,
kind of
I'm happy to have you back, brother.
and this kind of goes to the question you asked me earlier, Dan, about what kind of swayed me, and I think part of it was kind of learning a little bit more about these crazy numbers and stuff that people would say, and there was all these deaths due to gun violence. So I'm looking at the Pew Research Center, very legitimate. And granted, this is from 2023, but I think still pretty or at least relatively relevant. So it says here in 2023, almost 47,000 people died from gun-related injuries, according to the CDC. But of those, 58% were suicides.
Yeah.
So the vast majority, and then 38% were murder, which is obviously a lot of murders, but the vast majority, it's not people with guns just killing people randomly.
It's people with guns killing themselves, which is almost worse.
Well, but that's another issue though.
That's sad.
As other than I think gun violence.
Yeah.
But when you just hear that number, 50,000 people killed by guns, without that context,
exactly,
it changes the conversation.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's where, and this is like some of the other topics that we've had before, where things can be skewed when we don't have
full
actual context for what it is. And so I actually saw those same numbers, Spence, before the episode. I was looking them up myself, and every single year, obviously, there's gun violence, gun deaths, I should say, but every single year also the vast majority is by suicide, which doesn't, negate the other, as Spence said, the other, violence.
Right.
But I think it speaks to another issue, because people that are set on suicide, there's plenty of ways to do that.
Yeah.
A gun might just be the quickest.
I think a majority of the gun violence that happens, especially like the mass shootings and things like that, like I think a majority of it really falls on the mental health issue. And I mean, I think the mental health issue in this country is rampant.
Yeah, that's another issue, where that needs to be addressed, and certainly we're not going to address it tonight, but they are two separate issues, but they affect each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so if you had better mental health help in this country, you would definitely see less suicides, of course, so that those numbers would go down, and then you'd also see less of some of the mass shooting events that happen as well. And so, yeah, I think this could even lead into the KTT if you want. You want to just go right into it?
Bring it on, man.
Cue the music. So at the end of the day, all these things like wanting to kill somebody comes from the heart. As Jesus said, that murder starts in the heart. It starts as a thought. And, Jesus is just so serious about it that he even, warns us against judgment for calling our brother a fool. So everything starts with intent and with a thought. And so, guns will never solve any problems. They are just a tool or, some sort of temporary stopgap, to counteract evil in a terrible society. But ultimately, that evil can only be counteracted by the gospel of Jesus Christ, who can change hearts, and so who can heal mental illness and who can make the minds right. And so, I'm not one that believes that, okay, how do we counteract gun violence? Well, we just go out and buy a bunch more guns to, counteract the evil people using the guns. No, we need, again, as we always go back to, we need to be loving people like Jesus did.
That's right.
We need to be showing them the light. We need to bring them to the truth of the gospel. We need heart changes more than anything else. And so before you go press too hard on one side of the issue or the other, understand that all these problems and all the violence in our nation and in our world is a heart issue every single time, because murder starts in the heart, just as adultery starts in the heart, just as all evil starts in the heart. So if we can work on people's hearts, then we can go a lot further to solving some of these issues. In the hands of the politicians, we know where that ends up. You know what I mean? So, KTT for today.
Good word, man. And I want to say too, if you're a super mega hard liberal like me,
God,
and your brothers and sisters in Christ do own guns, don't be judgmental, right? Just respect that's their right to own that, and whatever's in their heart. Don't point your gun.
Oh, sorry.
Put that finger gun away.
You got yourself into a bad situation here, boy.
I'm offended. And if you're a white right-wing MAGA nut job,
MAGA,
and you have people, brothers and sisters in Christ, that don't believe that owning a gun is appropriate, respect it. I mean, I think that's at the end of the day, we got to get back to understanding that we are. Don't stop laughing.
I was like how you said like a liberal like me, and then the other side are nut jobs.
Nut jobs. I'm leaning in. They told me to lean into it. It's in the script.
Double down. Down.
It's in the script.
Listen, I get the phone calls for this. Do you understand that?
Hey.
All right, you do understand that I get the phone calls.
My text messages say otherwise, brother.
You did say reach out to me, Josh. So
Hey, I'm ready.
It.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
At Josh Talks.
At Josh Talks. You can text me if you have my number. If you don't, you can message me at Josh Talks. I'd love to give you that cell phone number. We can go all night. But
is that a reference to earlier?
Another dark meat situation. This is off the rails.
The stuffing's back, dude.
Off the rails,
Full circle.
Dude. Off the
Full
rails.
circle.
We started off the rails. We ended off the rails.
We always do. I don't know how we get here, dude. We always start and end off the rails.
It's a beautiful way.
And Jake's not even here tonight.
I know.
Crazy.
Shout out, Jake.
Crazy.
We love you, Jake.
Well, love one another. I quit.
One love and
how about this?
Another.
Love and peace. That will solve all of our problems.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Love you. The Not Safe for Sunday podcast is recorded in the loft. Our production team is Spencer Berriman, Jacob McCall, and John Walsh. You can find us on social media at NSFS Podcast. If you'd like to join us for a Sunday service, you can find us at Conquerors for Christ Church, located at 972 Reed Road in North Dartmouth, Massachusetts.